So I thought I'd start this video out sitting on the porch. This really is what it's all about. Of course, we got the greenhouse here, but beyond the greenhouse, it's just, well, green. I know in the wintertime, a lot of people complain that the property looks all trashy and everything, you know, during the fall and when there's no leaves, but sure does green up and it just becomes heaven. It was a bit cooler this morning. It was in the 50s. Came outside and I don't know, there was just that perfect feel. Whatever that perfect feel is, it was perfect for me. I'm often asked, why do we do this? I mean, why don't you just get a house with electric? It's a lot easier. Well, I've tried to explain this before. Having a regular life means you have to go get a job. Now, I have online work that I do. I am self-employed, but I don't make a ton of money. But as a result, I work here on the property, raising the chickens and making my own electric and tinkering with the water every day, trying to get it out of the well, or especially in the springtime when the well's always dirty, putting water into the IBC tank. It's a lot of work. There's a lot to do. But in the end, I don't have to go get a job and work 12 to 16 hours a day. And I know that's what I'd have to do. I've done it in the past. And I've said this before, I had 8 acres. I rented 8 acres for $350 a month. Nice little house. It was a stone home. It was built out of stone. They got the rock from the quarry. It was beautiful. And it was perfect. It had a little bitty pond. I mean, it wasn't a huge pond, but it had a little pond on it. A separate, I don't know how to explain. You go up the hill, and on the other side of the woods on the hill, there was a clearing where the pond was. Come down on this side and it was a huge clearing, and then so you have woods, and I was able to deer hunt on it. But we were never home. We were never able to enjoy it. We had some chickens. 6 days a week, the chickens would be locked up in this little bitty chicken run that I had for them. And on the weekends, I'd let them out and play, and I always felt so bad for them. At least here, we got a bigger chicken run, and we're always home, and we can interact with them. I don't feel like I'm abandoning them. So this is why I do all the work. So I can sit here on the porch and enjoy it when I have some free time. This really stuck in my mind. I remember it was like 100 degrees outside. It was middle of July. And I always had to work. So anytime I got a free moment, I try to do things that I like to do. I like to reload my ammo. And one day I thought I'd take the 22 out and do some target practicing. And it was just sweltering hot. But it was the only time I had available, so I took 22 out and did some target practicing. I was just sweating up a storm and ended up having to quit because it was so hot. But I couldn't do it any other time. And it was just frustrating. It was like, okay, well, we got bad weather. Oh, well, you're just going to lose out on having any fun. And here, if we have bad weather, no big deal. I can wait till tomorrow and I can do it tomorrow. I can finish up whatever it is I need to do tomorrow today. Those kind of things. I was just sitting here thinking, you know, I need to make 2 videos today. So I have, because tomorrow we're going to go get some chickens and I won't have time to record a video. What's the big deal? I can make 2 videos the next day, or maybe I'll be able to slide one in tomorrow. It's just so relaxing. So that's why we do what we do. And it's not about prepping and always being prepared. I mean, sure, that's a nice side benefit, but that's not the primary reason. So tomorrow, like I said, we are going to go get some chickens. We're going to get the Brahmas. I've told you about the Brahmas. The Brahmas are a pretty winter hardy breed, and they're huge. The rooster weighs 12 pounds. Now, the roosters that we have right now are 6 pounds, so it's double the size. The hens weigh 10 pounds. I would say the hens that we have now probably are 4 to 6 pounds, not very big. So they're huge. And so we got them for meat birds. They don't produce a lot of eggs. They produce about half of the eggs that we get now from the hens we got. But that's okay because they produce their eggs during the wintertime, which is a huge advantage because we don't have but 4 chickens that produce in the wintertime, and those 4 reduce the amount of eggs they produce. So we'll have plenty of eggs in the summer, and then quite a few eggs, not as many, but quite a few eggs during the winter. And these Brahmas is what they're called, are very winter hardy. They got feathers on their legs. So it worked out pretty good that the chicks that we just hatched are going to be the same age as the Brahmas. That way we can mix them all together. One of the big problems I have is getting new chickens, trying to keep them separated. I mean, we just don't have the facilities to put that many different chickens all over the place and to keep them warm. The farmer that we go to, she has little outbuildings, and she has tubs in her outbuildings. Of course, we could do that, but then we'd have to get electric because she's got heat lamps and just, you know, all the equipment. We don't have that. So we got to raise our chickens inside our little tiny house. And if we get too many different age groups, then we're in trouble. So we got 2 little chickens that were just hatched not that long ago. One of our hens went broody. She hatched 2 eggs out of 10. And so they're down there. Well, last night it got down to 50 degrees. And they're right on that borderline whether they should be down there or in the house. We left them down there. They seem to be okay, but technically we probably should have brought them in. It might have been a little chilly for them last night. It's going to get down in the 50s again tonight. I'm going to leave them down there again, but they should be okay. It's going to be 1 degree cooler tonight than it was yesterday, so we should be all right. And then it's going to warm back up. So that's the dilemma, being in a little tiny house and not having all the facilities. So I got to be careful how many different age groups we have. So it's nice that the Brahmas are going to be the same age as these little meat birds that we hatched. We intend to probably raise another batch of meat birds. We got 15 out of this batch. There was 22 eggs. One of them we know died for sure. And we got 7 in there that haven't hatched yet. One of them has a crack in the egg today that was not there yesterday. So we're thinking it tried to get out. We don't know if it died or just gave up or what happened. But for some reason, these didn't hatch. We're gonna wait 2 more days before we decide to just go ahead and quit. Now, it would have been nice to get the 22. That would have been the same amount of meat birds as we had last year after a few died, but this time we got 15. So we'll do it again. That'll give us 30 for the year that we can butcher and can. And then next year, we'll start incubating the Brahma chickens. Now, the Brahma males will also mate with the hens that we have right now. So we're not going to get a complete total stock of Brahma meat birds. We only got 7 meat birds, which is 5 hens, 2 roosters. The hens will probably give us a total of 15 eggs in a week. So that's as long as you can go. That's as long as you can go before the eggs start to go bad. So you set them to the side, and then on the 7th day you put them all in the incubator. Well, if we only get 15 eggs, that means that we're going to have a few slots in our incubator available. So that means that we'll have to take some of the eggs from the hens that we have right now and incubate those also. So that'll be 7 birds that are not pure Brahmas. That's okay. You know, it's all meat. It's just going to be a little bit smaller, and they may not be that much smaller, especially if we took them from the New Hampshires and the Buff Orpingtons, because they're a lot bigger than the Americanas. Americanas are really small. So we leave the colored eggs for eggs, just eat the eggs. Americanas produce colored eggs. I'm going to take you in here and I want to show you these little chicks that we've hatched from the incubator. These guys have really done something that's really kind of neat, and we haven't seen this before. These guys are really interesting. We've raised little chicks before. The last time we had birds this young, it was the Cornish cross, which are meat birds. We bought them at the hatchery. We had 25 of them. They didn't seem, well, any of the birds that we've gotten have not seemed as curious as these guys. These guys, look at them. They're all looking at me like, what are you doing? And they're just very curious. They're very active, very social, not very scared of us. It's just really interesting. And it's all of them, not just a couple of them. They're all very curious. This is the one Carolyn has identified as an owl, that little dark one right there in the center. But look, they're all exploring, maybe not so much right this minute, but when I first sat down to show you, they were really curious. And it's just different than what we've seen before. Now, I can't really show you what we've seen before, but this is much different. So Carolyn had a theory. She's wondering, since we raise the eggs inside the house, in the incubator, if they could hear us talking throughout the day. Like the other day, I made a joke and I had to raise my voice to make the punchline, and none of them got jumpy or anything. They just went along like it was no big deal. Whereas previous birds that we've had in the house would have just jumped and flew all over the place. And the other day I dropped the broom. No, I put the dishes in the little dish pan over here. Again, they didn't jump around, and I even thought, oops, I shouldn't have done that, that'll scare them, and they didn't get scared. It appears that while they were in the egg, they must have gotten used to the noises in the house. They seem very comfortable being around us. Now, I mean, if I put my hand in there, they start to get a little bit nervous, like normal chickens will do. But even at that, they're not that scared of us. The water bottles, it's very interesting. On the second day they were alive, they actually understood what the water bottles were. The water bottles is what keeps them warm. You know, we put hot water in it, and they cuddle up right around it. It's just amazing how they've already identified this. I mean, their brains can't be that big, and they've just really adapted so well. I told Carolyn, I said, if that one that looks like an owl turns out to be a female, we'll keep that for her, because she's kind of attached to that one already. She really likes the color of that. And if it keeps the owl look, it's right over here. I'll move the blanket. She turned around. So if it keeps the owl look and it's a female, we're going to keep that one, which is no big deal. We can do that. Yeah, we'll get eggs out of her. Now, we are going to have to be careful with that. Of course, we're going to butcher Frenchie and Rue, but we want to make sure that we don't breed father the daughter. I've looked it up. They say you can do it, but it can cause deformities in the development in the egg. Of course, we don't want deformities. That's another thing that may have happened, is they say sometimes the eggs won't hatch because their genes just weren't, you know, their DNA just wasn't developed right, and they had deformities or, you know, whatever. And that may be why we have the 7 that didn't hatch. Well, we don't know exactly where Frenchie came from. So if you'll check out that super thanks button, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to enjoy your life. So I hope I can inspire you to enjoy your life when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.